morning, American. It's Friday.
It's time for Mornings at 8 with Jonathan Mark on AM 1480 WLEA.
Oh, as usual, right on the money. It indeed is Friday. Finally, Friday, the end of the week. Yippee, and here we go. Wow, another chilly, foggy morning. I left the house this morning, it was 39. And we had an overnight low of 37 in greater metropolitan Almond. So it was another chilly night, but boy, it sure is nice. It is beautiful for sleeping. Oh, wow-wee, nice. Let me see here. Well, I told you a number of weeks ago, I mentioned that in our on our patio, there's a snapdragon, right? Now, a snapdragon, I don't believe, is a wild flower. I think it's a domestic flower, I think. I'm not quite sure, but that's what I think. And we've never had any snapdragons, ever. And right smack in the middle, growing out of blacktop, is a snapdragon. And that was a couple of weeks ago. And now we have two. So where did these snapdragons come from? It's great, a beautiful little flower. But I wonder where the heck it came from, you know. And now we have two. Okay, well, that takes care of that. Now, Tom Reed. You know, Brian, I'm surprised that Congressman Reed's office hasn't issued some kind of a statement or something. You think they would.
They haven't since yesterday afternoon when he originally went to the hospital.
Because people don't pass out for no reason. I mean, there's got to be a reason why you pass out.
Yeah, I think, just a guess here, but he does have diabetes. He's been very public about that.
He does.
Yeah, he belongs to something, I believe it's called the Diabetes Caucus in the House of Representatives.
Oh, wow. Well, that probably might explain it.
And I think they kind of know that people know that he's a diabetic.
Okay, that might do it. Well, apparently he was only out for like 30 seconds. So that's not bad. I hope he's okay. A really nice guy, you know. So, well, I hope he gets better. And there you go. Okay, Tom Reed, diabetic. Well, I heard on the news there that Bill de Blasio has dropped out of the race. Okay, the Democratic trying for the nomination for president, and he's dropped out of the race. Now, I'm surprised because I didn't even know he was in the race. Apparently, like nobody else knew either, because he had probably one, maybe his mom or something, but, you know, he didn't have any backers and nobody cared about him, and now he's officially dropped out of the race. Okay. Well, what else is going on? We got a new car. We bought it. It's a used car. It's a 2017. It's a Ford Escape. Nice little car, right? So then comes a problem. I think probably most people name their cars. I'm just guessing here. Because we do, I always have, forever. Even my first car, which was a Volkswagen Bug, you know, it was a 62, and I got it in 65, so it was 3 years old. And I've named all my cars. Except in my case, it's been easier to keep track of them because every car I've ever had has been named Frank. Every single one. Cars, a pickup truck, motorcycles, any vehicle I've ever had has been named Frank. Makes it very easy to keep track of. So my wife names her cars too. So she had, let me see, last vehicle was Annie. After Dreamboat Annie, the song, it was a Dodge pickup. So her name was Annie. And the last car I had, it was a change of pace. Every car I've ever had has been named Frank, right? So we got a Chevy Equinox. And the Chevy it's black, a Chevy Equinox, nice little car. And its name is Sam. So now we have this Ford Escape. Wondering, what do we call the Ford Escape? How do we work that? Oh, we also have a Dodge Caravan. She is Greta. Okay? So now we have a Ford Escape. And we figured, well, the Chevy Equinox was named Sam. Why don't we name the Ford Escape G? Okay, G-E-E-G. As in, NCIS LA. We have Sam and G. So the Chevy Equinox was Sam, so the Ford Escape is going to be G. So that takes care of that. However, it was really easy, though, naming all my cars Frank. But that's gone. I had to change names eventually at some point. Well, let's see here. I see where this climate change lunacy, hysteria has spread majorly across the entire globe. This is going to be a day of worldwide protests. Precisely what they're protesting, I don't know. Global climate change. They're protesting global climate change. It began yesterday in Australia. Now, yesterday, I think Australia is a day ahead of us. So yesterday, here was Thursday. In Australia, it was Friday, right? So there were massive protests all across Australia yesterday. And I got this from AP. Let me see. Global climate protests begin in Australia before UN summit, right? Tens of thousands of protesters gathered Friday around Australia as a day of worldwide demonstrations calling for action to guard against climate change began ahead of a UN summit in New York. So tens of thousands of people turned out in Australia yesterday, which was Friday there, mostly kids, children, or teenagers, or something. And they, too, skipped school to do this. The Global for okay, the official name was the Global Strike for Climate. The Global Strike for Climate. And organizers, at least in Australia, are demanding government and businesses commit to a target of net zero carbon emissions by 2030. Okay? So that's what they're protesting down there. Australian universities said they would not penalize students for attending Friday's rallies, while Australian schools varied on what action, if any, they would take against children who skipped classes to attend the demonstrations. And in this story, it has a couple of quotes by these teenagers who are thoroughly just frightened out of their wits over climate change or something. I mean, these kids are, I mean, they're really scared. And you see these banners and posters they're carrying. Let me see. What's another one? I can't go to school if it's underwater, is what one of the signs says. Okay, reads, I can't go to school if it's underwater, meaning that the oceans are going to rise and drown everybody or something. Here's somebody holding up a sign, respect your mother. And there's a drawing or a little painting of the earth. So respect your mother, Earth, right? Okay, very good. Apparently the Earth can't take care of itself, and I don't know, but that's going on there. And there, you ought to see these photographs. I mean, these are elementary school, junior high school, senior high school students. Wow, that's in Australia. Meanwhile, here, you know, I had a number of stories yesterday. As a matter of fact, this is, I think, the third time this week I've talked about this. I don't know. It seems like that kind of week. Anyway, teenagers here are afraid of climate change and this and that, and all these polls taken. Where was it? The Washington Post and the Kaiser Family Foundation that took a poll. A solid majority of American teenagers are convinced that humans are changing the Earth's climate and believe that it will cause harm to them personally harm them somehow. I don't know. I mean, it's very, this is almost like a cult. This has become a cult. Very, very close. We have climate anxiety groups. I mentioned this yesterday, where people like sit around and tell everybody in this group how they're afraid of climate change or something. That's sad. I mean, it's really sad. And then we have NBC News. What was that? The NBC News Climate Confessions Project, whereby you access this site on NBC News and you go to the Climate Confessions spot there, and you type in a confession about how you have sinned against the climate. I mean, this is really sad, sick stuff. It really is. I don't know. Man, it's really gotten out of hand. But the big one today They're a day ahead of us in Australia. But today, starting this morning, is going to be the big one. The climate strikes are going to take place in more than 1,000 locations in the U.S. 1,000 locations. Major rallies in New York, Washington, D.C., Boston, Chicago, San Francisco, Miami. Globally, more than 4,500 strikes are planned across 150 countries. 150 countries. What exactly are they protesting? Climate change. How do you protest climate? What? I don't know. Anyway, so school children in New York City, 1.1 million of them, have been given the go-ahead to take today off to attend these stupid rallies. And the ringleader of all this is some 16-year-old girl from Sweden. A 16-year-old girl from Sweden, Greta Thunberg. She's the one really who started this whole thing. I mean, this has the appearance. It has. I mean, it smells like a cult. It really does. And there's old little the Thunberg there, or Greta, I guess, and she's the one who's really organizing this. Wow. Companies are taking part. Some unions are taking part. Anyway, in March, more than 1 million school students took part in the global climate strike, but today's is likely to be swelled by adults encouraged to walk out of their workplaces in support of the young protesters who were demanding a halt to fossil fuel projects and a complete shift to renewable energy. Now, if you think, okay, dozens of companies, I'll get back to it. Dozens of companies, including Patagonia, Ben & Jerry's, you could have figured that, Ben & Jerry's and The Guardian will support striking staff, with major unions also backing the walkouts. Thousands of websites are set to go dark as tools are downed on Friday lunchtime. Hundreds of doctors have written medical notes to excuse students from their classes due to the threat posed by the climate crisis. Some 14-year-old Alexandria Villasenor, 14 years old, she says this is going to be the largest mobilization for climate action in history. And she has been protesting outside the UN headquarters over climate every Friday since December. Wow.
And do you know who was with her all the way?
Gary Best. Is it Gary Best? I'm just taking.
It is Gary. How you doing?
Oh, well, how you doing, Gary?
Not too bad.
Okay, fine. How's the weather doing?
Okay, the weather's looking very nice. We've got generally clear skies out there this morning, and just a few high thin clouds expected for today with mostly sunny skies. We'll climb up to about 75 to 80 during this afternoon, and tonight mainly clear. We drop down to 54 to 58 overnight. What a great weekend we have coming up. Above normal temperatures, it's going to be warm and no rain in sight. A mix of clouds and sun. Low 80s coming up on Saturday. Mild for tomorrow night in the 60s and partly sunny in the 80s on Sunday. Eventually, we may see a few showers and thunder showers early next week before a brief cool down by Tuesday and Wednesday.
Okay. Now, am I right here? Monday, I believe, is the first day of autumn, right?
It is the first full day of autumn. That's correct.
Okay. Very good. Very good. Well, thank you, Gary.
Okay.
Talk to you later. Bye.
From the Fox Sports Studios in Los Angeles, here's Eddie Garcia.
News from the NFL, where Sports Illustrated reports that Patriots wide receiver Antonio Brown sent intimidating text messages this week to an artist who accused him of sexual misconduct in a recent article back in 2017. The NFL is reportedly looking into it. In the NFL on Thursday Night Football, the Jaguars beat the Titans 20-7. Rookie quarterback Gardner Minshew had a pair of first-quarter touchdown passes in the win for Jacksonville. Both teams are now 1-2 on the season. In baseball, the Yankees wrap up the AL East title in a playoff spot with a 9-1 win over the Angels. New York also gets its 100th win of the season, tied for the most in baseball. 10 innings for the Cardinals to beat the Cubs 5-4, while the Brewers down the Padres 5-1. So St. Louis still has a 3-game lead on Milwaukee for first in the NL Central. They're 4 games up on Chicago. Meanwhile, the Brewers have a 1-game lead on the Cubs for the number 2 wildcard spot in the National League. And the Indians shut out the Tigers 7-0. Cleveland moves into a tie with Tampa Bay for the number 2 wildcard spot in the American League.
From the Fox Business Network, FAA Chief Stephen Dixon says he personally tested the 737 MAX simulator with updates. Dixon says he also met with top Boeing officials in Renton, Washington, but the FAA still has no timetable for returning the MAX jets to service. Ryanair has said it doesn't expect the planes to fly again until February or March. AT&T might have a hard time selling DirecTV if that's what it decides to do. The New York Post says competitor Dish Network would face major opposition from regulators because combined with DirecTV, it would be the only major satellite TV provider. Reuters says travel company Thomas Cook is looking for funding to keep itself from collapsing. It operates in 16 countries. The Dow was down 52 yesterday, NASDAQ up 5, the S&P was flat. With the Fox Business Report, I'm Jenny Cosola.
Ever wonder why Europeans speak so many languages? Maybe it's because they use Babbel, the #1 selling language learning app in Europe. Babbel's 10 to 15-minute lessons and award-winning technology can have you speaking Spanish, French, or German within weeks.
I always thought I was bad at languages, but after using Babbel, I can tell you I was just taught the wrong way.
Now, try Babbel free. Go to Babbel.com or download the app. That's Babbel, BABBEL.com, or download the app to try for free.
The Ryan Agencies, your local, independent insurance agencies. The Ryan Agency is not beholden to any one insurance company. They work with many companies, offering unbiased insurance advice. Their interest is seeking your best interest. Contact the Ryan Agencies, good people offering unbiased advice, seeking your best interest.
Insurance protection you can rely on. The Ryan Agency.
Today at Simmons Rockwell Hyundai, drive away in a new Hyundai Tucson lease for only $229 a month. A new 2019 all-wheel drive Hyundai Tucson SE model equipped with 17-inch alloy wheels, touchscreen media, and rear view monitor. Lease with no money down for $229 a month for 36 months. Only tax and DMV fees are due at signing. Shop Simmons-Rockwell.com.
And here we are. Now, during the break, I have to give Brian credit. He hit an absolute home run. I mean, right out of the park. He said this should be called climate Scientology. Wow, I wish I had thought of that. That is absolutely right smack on the money. Climate Scientology. And that's just what it's become. I mean, that's what it's become. And it's just, it's crazy lunacy. It's just gotten worse and worse and worse. And it's funny because, let me see, where was it? Here. They are demanding a halt to fossil fuel projects and a complete shift to renewable energy. Now, you read behind that and you think, wait a minute. The world runs on fossil fuel. And our economy, especially so, runs on fossil fuel. So what I think, maybe it's just me, maybe I'm just a little paranoid here, I have no idea. But they're not, I think really the push is against capitalism. That's what this is all about. It's an end run to try to get capitalism. Because our country runs on fossil fuel. And that's how the country runs, right? And if you get rid of fossil fuel, there goes our economy. So really, they're not against fossil fuels, they're not against climate change, and it's really anti-capitalism. That's what this is all about. That's what they're attacking. Because I wonder if these kids know, okay, let's run on windmills. Everybody have a little windmill in their backyard or a solar panel on their house, which is very nice. Only how are we going to run a car with the windmill on top? That's not going to work. Cars, I don't think, would really hold a windmill on top. And a little solar panel really isn't going to get you all that far. You know what I mean? We run on gasoline, oil. That's how the country runs. That's the lubricant of our economy, is fossil fuel. So by getting rid of that, I don't think they're using their heads. Okay, let me see. How do they get to school? Unless you walk, you probably take a vehicle of some sort, whether it be a private vehicle, maybe a city bus. If you live in a city, you take a city bus. Or maybe a school bus. How do you think they run? They run on fossil fuel. Everything runs on fossil fuel. To get food from the Midwest or the West over here to the East, how does it get here? Nobody delivers it on bicycle. I mean, that's a long way off. Okay, how are they going to deliver it? Plus, how would planes fly? So you couldn't take any kind of produce or merchandise of any kind by airplane because air travel would be banned. It'd be impossible if there's no fossil fuel, right? I mean, this whole thing is great. It's anti-capitalism. That's exactly what it is. So I don't know if they really thought this thing out. So maybe they plan on walking to school or something. And anyway, how are we going to heat the school? Or cool it down? I mean, you need this stuff. So maybe these children, and they're children. I mean, every photograph I have and every story in the past couple of days, and, you know, most of these stories have a photograph, of course, right? And these were all children. I don't think they have really thought this thing out. As I said, let me see, in the winter, your house, especially here in the Northeast, especially here in this part of the state, it gets pretty chilly in the winter. How are you going to heat your house? How are you going to heat your house? Yeah, right. Well, we have wood. Okay, but you don't want to hurt the environment, and you don't want to cut down trees. And with all the people here now, you couldn't do it. It just wouldn't work. I mean, it wouldn't work. You guys start the burning of the furniture or something, and eventually you'll run out of furniture. You know what I mean? So this is lunacy. This is lunacy. And speaking of lunacy, how much time? Oh yeah, I'm glad I thought of this. The last time Californian climate scientist Peter Kalmus was on an airplane was in 2012. He says it made him feel physically sick and like he was stealing from his children's future, and he vowed never to fly again. Kalmus, I got this from, where did I get this? Oh boy. Where did I get this? I lost the source. I must have cut it off. Oh, well, anyway. Kalmus was pursuing his postdoctoral studies in 2009 when he became increasingly concerned about the prospect of climate breakdown, tipping points such as the thawing of the Earth's permafrost triggering runaway global warming that wreaks havoc on weather. I was shaking people by the lapels, posting screeds on Facebook, and not really getting anywhere, he told AFP. Oh, that's where I got it, AFP, in an interview. Okay, shaking people by the lapels. You grab a person by the lapels and something's going to happen, baby. I'll tell you right there. Anyway, eventually it dawned on me that I should maybe bring my actions into alignment with my beliefs. Drawing upon his expertise as a scientist, he calculated the emissions associated with various aspects of his life and was surprised to learn that electricity consumption made up a tiny portion compared to air travel. So he focused on flying less. And then there's Tarek Maserani. Yeah. Oh boy, time's up. Darn it. Oh well. He's a professor at 2 Washington universities, right? He's a climate change guy too, and he gets his food from dumpster diving and from leftovers at buffets from conferences he attends, describing himself as a supply and demand vegan. He says, I don't buy any animal. He says, I don't buy any animal products. So I try to get he gets his food from dumpster diving. He has a 10-year-old's cell phone. He goes dumpster diving for his food, and this guy works in a university. Okay, fine, and that's it. I will see you Monday at 8:05. Bye.